had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
And I look forward to continuing this dialogue in the months ahead. Thank you very much, everybody.
You look good, Wally. Win some and lose some, that's it. And some are rained out. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wally, Wake Up America. My name's Phil Marie. We got Walter J. Kopaczynski, and we have a special guest tonight, Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh, and Lori knows her stuff. We're going to be talking about some Connecticut laws that are coming into effect, but before I get into that, I hope everyone had a nice Easter, right, Wally? And so forth. Last week we had JB on, and next week we have the NSA whistleblower Kurt Wiebe returning. So next week we'll also. So we got 3 great shows right in a row. I wanted to get that out of the way. And next week I'll talk a little bit about my adventure up to New Hampshire this week. Wednesday I went up there. So, but tonight our focus is on Miss Lori, and Lori has a radio show, as you guys know. Reg, camera 3. Right there, the Lori on Liberty show. And the last week or so she had Waleed Shubat, and he's been on Michael Savage a lot and all over the place, on television everywhere. Lori's show is doing extremely well and getting some great guests. So thanks, Reg. So, anyways.
Thank you.
There you go, Lori. So, I think what we're going to do, I have a 3-minute video, Lori, and I think the best thing to do is to run that video, let the people get an idea of what this House bill, what this stuff is, and then you can just add on to it. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Sounds good with you, Wally?
Yep.
With you too, Jim?
Very good.
Okay, we're ready.
Think of a town that has a train line through it, starting in Greenwich and working your way up. And if you look at a 1-mile swath through that town, this authority seems to have the power to completely change every town that is touched. And even towns that don't currently have any such facilities, it appears that this authority would have the power to say, we're going to put a bus station in the middle of your town, therefore we have land use authority over a half-a-mile radius from that bus station. Is that how you read it?
Well, I might have missed it. I didn't see anything here about actually putting the bus station or the train station there. I read it as though if they were already there, that the 1/2-mile radius around them would become subject to any decisions unilaterally by this authority. And that it would be absolutely open season for the authority to decide to install affordable housing, to put office buildings there, to put retail there, to change the ownership of anything that is there, because it has full eminent domain powers, and that is made very precise not only in the bill but also in the OPM fact sheet. And I can't imagine many scenarios where this might have been written to say, look, we want to stimulate transit-oriented development, therefore we're going to provide technical assistance to the towns, we're going to make financing a little easier for developers who want to do this, but it's not written that way. It is written as though this authority can do specifically whatever it wants by a majority vote of the members, and a quorum is constituted by a majority through the bill. So if 6 of these people decide that they want to do something to anyone's town, that has an area like this. This becomes a TCDA district, and this entity can do whatever it wants.
Right, well, you think of a town that has a train line through it, starting in Greenwich and working your way up. And if you look at a 1 mile swath through that town, this authority seems to have the power to completely change every town that is touched. And even towns that don't currently have any such facilities, it appears that this authority would have the power to say, we're going to put a bus station in the middle of your town, therefore we have land use authority over a half a mile radius from that bus station.
All right, we're back. So that gives you a sense, just a teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini sense that of what's going on. But this is really a serious invasion of property rights, Lori. So I'm going to turn all this over to Lori and let her begin her.
Well, the two representatives that you just saw on video were Representative Doug Dubitsky and Representative Gail Lavielle. And she's from Norwalk, Westport, and Wilton, and I believe Doug has portions of Norwich, and then he's north of there. What this is House Bill 6851, and it just came out of committee. Well, I can't say it just came out of committee. It came out of committee over a week ago, and no one can find anything that resembles the revised bill at this time. So all of the people that you just heard, the two people you just heard, still have not read a bill that came out of committee a week ago. That's disturbing in and of itself. The other thing, this bill is disturbing on many levels, because although they may claim they stripped eminent domain out of this bill, the fact of the matter is, and I have right here from 2008, these are all the ways that people in Hartford that are either bureaucrats or elected officials are able to utilize state statute to take away property rights. Eminent domain is built into the DOT and different departments, so that if they establish a transit corridor, even though eminent domain is not included in the bill itself for a transit corridor, which this transit corridor is enables an 11-member appointed board commission in Hartford, appointed to make all the decisions for any land use, rents, taxes, redevelopment within a half a mile of any bus station or train station in the state of Connecticut. Now, if you think about that, that's a lot of property. Those are a lot of property owners, a lot of businesses, and the state has the audacity of just coming in and saying, we're taking it all. And you have nothing to say about it. Your mayor, your first selectman, no one can say anything. We'll make the decisions. The 11 appointed members on this commission will make the decisions for each one of your towns in the entire state of Connecticut that would be part of the transit corridor with the bus stations and train stations. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. I wanted to, if you're interested in this bill, again, it's Governor's Bill 6851, and you can read this here.
Let me show it.
Yeah, well, you could. That's before it was revised. We still have not seen.
Governor's Bill number 6851. All right.
And this was introduced by Brendan Sharkey, Representative Brendan Sharkey, and Senator Martin Looney, and Senator Bob Duff, and Representative Joe Aresmowitz, I believe his name is. And it was referred to committee, came out of committee with some changes that they're saying stripped eminent domain, but it's irrelevant whether they stripped it or not because it's already built into the DOT. So what really bothers me the most is that it strips not only local control over what all these towns and cities are doing for their planning and development, but also the citizenry and the businesses and all the people, the landowners, property owners, have zero say in what happens to their own properties. They can be condemned, they can be taken, and coming from New London, we have seen what redevelopment has done to the city of New London. 50 years of decline. every redevelopment planning process that they put lipstick on the pig and they want you to accept it and call it something that it's not. But what it is it's called failure. And we see that in the City of New London more than anywhere else in the state, the failure of development and planning. And they want us to go down this road. There's a lot of people that are up in arms about this, but the press is not covering it. And unfortunately, our representatives from this area are not really discussing it. I went to a meeting with Paul Formica, Senator Formica, and Kathleen McCarty of Waterford last week. I brought it up, and it was not discussed at that meeting. If I hadn't brought it up, it would never have been discussed. And there's a meeting tomorrow night in New London, Tuesday night at City Hall at 6:30. And again, it will be Senator Formica, it'll be Ernie Hewitt, and also Andre Baumgardner. And what I brought with me, and you can take this, is the 2015 Major Issues. It's a publication that will be handed out tomorrow in New London. It was handed out in Waterford last week, and it's all the most important issues in the state. Well, guess what? This corridor transit bill is not one of those major issues. Even though it's the largest land grab in the history of Connecticut, it's not even on there. And the question is, why can't we find the revised bill? Why is this not a subject of discussion in southeastern Connecticut, a huge subject of discussion? And people need to know, businesses need to know, and property owners, residences, apartment owners, everyone, because they will make a plan, and if you don't agree with their plan, it doesn't matter. If you don't buy into it, it doesn't matter because you have no say, and they don't really want to hear from you. They don't care what you have to think, what you think about it. So do you have any questions on this bill? 'Cause I want to move on to a different subject if you...
Well, yeah, actually, you want to show the map?
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Reg, camera 3. What you guys are looking at right there in the center, if you look up on the monitor, Lori, you can see it. There's the train station. This is a half-mile radius. It goes west past Hempstead Street. It almost reaches the bridge. It actually crosses the river and includes EB, Thames Street, all of Thames Street, a lot of it. And even the most famous seafood place around, Captain Scott's.
There you go.
He could get the boot, right? So here's the radius, and it's, New London isn't that big. The cities, that's a huge hunk of it.
The entire downtown.
Huge hunk, and you're going to switch subjects, right?
Well, no, we can stay on this for
All
a
right.
moment. I just want to
All right.
say that this bill gives this commission, it's an appointed commission. They're not even elected. They're not even, we have no control of who is appointed. It's at the whim of the governor and a couple of department heads, and they will have complete say over your property, 100%.
Do the Republicans set this up or the Democrats?
Well, this is a nonpartisan issue because tomorrow I think I'd like to know if Paul Formica and Andre Baumgardner and Hewitt are going to vote on it. I don't want to, say who's going to vote and who isn't going to vote. This was introduced by 4 Democrats. However, why is it not on this legislative printout that tells us we should be concerned about it when it's the biggest eminent domain on steroids, really on steroids? We've been down this, all these planning and development schemes, over $100 million pocketed for in the name of eminent domain in the city of New London for Fort Trumbull, and we have nothing to show from it. We tore down most of New London, beautiful historic structures, a downtown that was a vibrant downtown. We tore it down in the name of redevelopment, and now we don't even know what the plan's going to be, how much it's going to cost, or who's going to pay for it. We just know that this bill gives the state, the appointed commission of 11 members, the ability to tax, to take by condemnation, because it's a DOT bill, and anything they want to do. It's open-ended, anything. They don't even have a plan. They just want the ability to take our land and to take our property and strip us of those liberties that really define American exceptionalism.
I have one more map. Reg, camera 3. All right, what you're looking at here, this is actually Niantic. And a lot of you people remember where the old train station sat, almost across from the Morton House there. Now, recently I recall hearing talk about how they'd like to get a possible train station back in Niantic.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah, great idea, but looking at this half-mile radius, all of Main Street, Niantic, would be included
That's right.
in this.
And Saybrook.
Take away all those businesses if they chose.
If
can
they
do
wanted
anything
to.
they want,
And
anything they
it
want.
and it goes all the way over to the bridge, pretty much, Niantic River Bridge, and it goes all the way up to, oh boy, almost up to Vets baseball field, Wally. I mean, it includes McCook's Point. I mean, that's a huge radius. So, thanks, Reg.
And one of the rationales that they give to do this is that they want poor people to have greater access to transportation. Well, let's just take a look at New London again. You have the train station and bus station surrounded by a sea of low-income housing, no-income housing. And yet it hasn't done anything to help people who are poor rise up out of poverty. It has only chased away businesses. It has only created a bigger problem for the city of New London. 50 years of decline in the name of redevelopment. And here we go again on a state level.
I have a question. Reg, go back to camera 3. Lori, my question is, obviously on this map, you have the cross-sound ferries, you have all the piers, the state pier, all that. Would this committee be in charge of all that now?
Everything.
How about the new Coast Guard Museum that's going to be
Everything.
built there?
Everything would be under
So-
their authority.
But, so basically, with the bus, the train, the ferries, if they choose, they could control all that?
Yes.
And, okay.
Yeah. And,
Thanks, Reg.
hearing the rationale from the Democrats who support this, they say, oh, the government won't use eminent domain. No, the government won't do this. Then why do you need the bill? If they're not going to use it, why would you need it? And why would this be introduced in the dark of night? And to this day, you can't get the revised version. That's really peculiar that you can't, it comes out of committee and it's not up on the website? How come?
What's the worst case scenario? I mean, obviously,
I
they
don't know how
can,
much worse you can get than that.
they can knock down buildings, they can put
Anything.
parking lots, they can put high-rises,
Right.
they can do whatever they
Yeah.
want. Can they shut down transportation?
Well, if one of the
In a
problems, yeah,
time out, in a so-called martial law type or uprising
it
or
would allow them
something.
to control all the comings and goings within the half mile.
Yeah, because that would be everything.
There would be no freedom, no ability to come and go. They would have complete control over the half mile, yes.
Well, property rights are one of the most important things in our country. If you find oil on your land, that's your oil.
It won't be in the future.
That's the only place in the world. All other nations, if they found oil on somebody's property, that's the government's oil. That's what's going to happen here.
It's
The
already
government's going to
happening.
take over everything.
Yep.
Everything. You won't have a say about anything.
You're absolutely right. That
Yeah.
is happening. It's happening right now. Water is a big issue. You talk
Yeah.
about oil. Water is oil. That's how valuable water is, and
Yeah.
they're going after our water rights. Congressman Courtney, one of his first bills was to take over water rights in Salem and contiguous towns in order to control every puddle and stream. And that is, they're trying to revise the U.S. Waters Act, which that defines water as being, a navigable river. They're changing that so that if a ditch has water 2 months a year, that ditch is under the control of the federal government.
Yeah, that's the
People-
government's water.
That's the government's water in every farm. It affects every land, property owner. Bill Clinton,
Even on farms?
everywhere.
Here's what happened in California.
Hold that thought about Bill Clinton.
In California, you take a shower too long, you're going to get fined
Yeah.
because you're using too much water. But California has a rivers going through California, and that clean water that's got a little fish in there is going into the ocean. And now, the farmers who needed that water,
right.
they're out of business.
Yeah.
They're cutting down on the farms. No more farms there.
That's
The people
right.
have no jobs. Property rights is so important to the people of America that people got to wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, when he was stumping for President Obama, he made the comment that President Obama will rebuild America from the ground up, change America, fundamentally change America, rebuild America from the ground up. The ground is the land. Eminent domain is the condemnation tool that allows the government to take the land. And if you read this 2008 report, I'm going to try to post it. If you go to Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh on Facebook, I'm going to try to post it on Facebook, and I post these things on a regular basis. But if our property rights are being stripped from us, like all of our rights are being stripped from us, inch by inch, and it is just, at this point, Reagan made the statement that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And I truly believe that we are the generation, that our liberties and freedoms are going to be gone after this generation.
Yep.
Because the progressive liberal mindset is the UN agenda. It is that people do not own property. That property is wealth that should be owned by the Commonwealth. And this is the Commonwealth being the government. And this is why I wanted to lead into land value tax, which is another very important subject in the city of New London.
Before you get into that, how does the Agenda 21, the UN Agenda 21, fit in with all this?
That's
Or is
why
that is that another attack?
That's another show,
Okay.
actually. But it's interesting. But many different groups and organizations are working together to strip America of its American citizens of their rights. They're pushing to disarm. They're pushing to disarm so they can take the land. They're pushing to disarm so that we don't have freedom and liberty, and we have to do what the government wants us to do anytime the government wants us to do it. And that is something that they've had a tough time doing in the United States. It's been successful in other countries, but it hasn't been as successful here. This generation, if it doesn't fight for its freedoms and liberties, for the Bill of Rights, for our Constitution, we're going to lose our country. And this is what my biggest fear is right now, why I'm working so hard to bring this to everyone's attention. Land value tax, okay. In the year 2009, the government put together a test site of New London to test the concept of land value tax. Land value tax is only used one place in the entire United States, and it has actually been a failure. It worked well when the market was going up. It stopped working when the market was going down. And there is so much misinformation about land value tax because it is so tied into concepts of redistribution of wealth and social justice and all these wonderful concepts, these liberal concepts that are really have failed our society and our communities. And land value tax, what it does is it returns the value of the land to the Commonwealth, the control of land to the Commonwealth. And it is communism. That is the definition of communism. Socialism is when the government controls the fruits of our labor and basically all business, which we are a socialist country right now. The government controls everything we do. I'm a real estate broker. Believe me, I have more laws determining what I can and cannot do. There is no freedom in business whatsoever. But when you get into communism, now the government controls all of the land, and that is the aim of Connecticut. Connecticut will be the first communist state in the United States.
Wait a minute, we're the Constitution state, so...
Not anymore.
So we're going to have to change the license plates.
Yes, we'll have to change the license plates because actually the bill that we were just talking about for the transit corridor is unconstitutional in the state of Connecticut. The constitutions don't mean anything anymore. Not to the efforts to take control of land, to take control of our rights to defend ourselves. All of our Bill of Rights is being just pretty much packaged together and shipped to the wastebasket at this point. It's just not, we're not going to have these rights. Land value tax, most people don't understand it, but I'm going to give it to you in Art Costa's words, because Art Costa in New London is the person who, along with the Green Party, is and the Green Party really, they're environmentalists, but they're communist environmentalists. And Art Costa basically, he puts it that if you own property, you are hoarding societal wealth. If you are a property owner, you are hoarding societal wealth. And they want to stop that. It's called speculating on land. Well, I believe that's called the free market. Speculation is part of the free market. The market goes up, the market goes down, until the government gets involved. Then we have a bubble that bursts and doesn't go away and disrupts everything. And our land values and our property values have been destroyed by government intervention into free market economics in property. And by the way, land values and property values, that is the American dream. That is what allowed people, the middle class, to rise up out of poverty and to build wealth and build a support net that they could retire on. It was property, and they want to take that away. The middle class is on its last leg. It is being destroyed. Every year, middle class wealth declines in Connecticut about $15,000 per year, and it's being wiped off the face of the planet at this point. Any middle class anywhere in the globe, and the UN agenda also ties into that as well. So now we have Art Costa saying that it's going to create affordable housing for everyone. Well, that's based on what? There's no facts, there's no statistics. The fact of the matter is the government runs by revenue, and they have to achieve that revenue. No matter who pays for it, the government's going to decide that they're going to take it from your property. That wealth has to be returned to the Commonwealth. They're saying that taxation is spread across the city in fairly levied land use. Fair to whom? Fair to the government, because they want to increase your taxes 17%. Not based on free market assessments of what a property is worth. So all of these different reasons for this land value tax are completely made up. They're fabrications. There's no statistical fact based on this. It's just pretty much saying, he says right here, with a land value tax, property tax is reformed, and revenues shift from buildings, allowing homeowners to improve their properties without the disincentive of having their home values go up. Well, that's crazy. If someone lives in a mansion, they should pay more in taxes than someone who is a retired elderly person that has a ranch that maybe needs their roof replaced. That is a fair taxation because it's based on the value of the property. They want to get rid of all of that. So there is no control over what properties are worth. The government decides that. It's not a free market basis at all any longer. So Art Costa is behind this. Now, this land value tax was going to be a dead issue, but Representative Andre Baumgardner is working with the Green Party and working with Mr. Costa to really bring land value back, land value tax, the concept back. And this document here, you can put this up. This is the study that was done, that the state wanted done on landation. This study was on the City of New London website, and you could print all of the conclusions. The conclusions were that there is no reason, and I'm going to read the conclusions because it's very important. The conclusions showed no justification for land value tax whatsoever. And yet, when I went back to retrieve this from the city website, there was a redacted version of it. So all of the committee implementation plans were taken out of this plan, stripped out, so that no one knew it existed. So I called the mayor, and I sent an email to the mayor, and I said, Daryl, could you please get me a copy of the unredacted City of New London Land Value Tax Committee implementation plan? And he sent me back an email saying that he no longer had the original copy and sent me to Harry Smith. So I contacted Harry Smith with the Department of Planning and Development, and I asked Harry for a copy, and Harry said, we're moving. I don't have a copy. If you can find one, please send one to me. Well, I did find a copy, Then I went back to the City of New London website to compare my copy, the original copy, with the redacted version, and lo and behold, it was taken down from the City of New London website altogether.
I see.
So if you want to know about land value tax and what happened in 2009, the extensive, exhaustive study that was done, they don't want you to see it because they want to pass it. They're forcing it
Now-
down our throats.
Now, Lori,
Mm-hmm.
there's a meeting tomorrow night, you said, in
Yeah.
London. Who's going to be there again?
Well, it's a town hall meeting, so Senator Paul Formica will be there.
Where's it going to be at?
At City Hall,
City Hall,
Representative
okay.
Andre Baumgardner
Yeah.
and Ernie Hewitt.
Ernie Hewitt.
Where's the City Hall? I don't know, in New London.
On Masonic Street? You don't know?
No,
Come
I
on,
never go to
Wally.
New London.
What?
Oh, you work at the food pantry?
Okay, but
Yeah.
it's right around there?
Yeah, well,
What-
it's downtown, right next to the post office.
Okay.
How do I know that name, Ernie Hewitt? What happened to him? Didn't he have something weird happen?
You said something about a
Oh,
snake?
no, no.
Oh,
Let's not go
yes,
there, guys.
the snake. He's got a snake for that young girl.
Yeah,
Something.
yeah.
Yeah. How can you say such a thing and still be in office of any?
Because he's a Democrat. They get away with things like that.
Really? That's
So
bizarre. All right.
this committee, they analyzed LVT, and it was the consensus of the committee that it could not be done. And they looked at all these different LVT models, and they looked at the property. They extensively researched the property, and they found that LVT would be counterproductive, and that it would hurt everyone. It was just a bad deal, and yet now we have Representative Baumgardner, unfortunately, that wants this, that's working on behalf of the Green Party and behalf of, Art Costa and certain liberal progressive organizations that want this pushed. And it's really the way that the government will take control over all land, and that we will be a land of renters, not property owners, and that they're saying that it'll be expensive, that there's no way to pay for it. There's a million different reasons in this one report
Now
to
this
not do it.
Bumgardner guy, he's the young guy that got elected,
He's
right?
a young, he's from Groton. He was just elected, and he is, I think, was appointed to the real estate commission
Has
in
he
Hartford.
has he ever owned property?
Well, you can ask Andre what his past is and
Sure.
what, he's,
I'm
I
just
don't know, I don't think
curious,
he's
Lori.
yet 21.
Wally brought this up, the property rights, and a lot of you know the story in New Hampshire. My property rights were violated, big time. So I know what it's like to have your property rights violated, people entering your property without permission, and law enforcement standing by and doing nothing. So,
That law was started in the Revolutionary War. Remember when the British troops said, we're going to live in your house?
yes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
constitutional.
That's why they had constitutional,
Yeah.
property rights.
Yeah,
That's
where
why
they
it was
can't
so
quarter
strong.
in your whatever.
And thousands of people have discovered oil on their land, and thousands of people became wealthy and spread it around, and that's what made this country grow. The opportunity to grow and to have businesses, not get killed by the government.
Middle-class wealth
Yeah.
is in property. Middle-class people do not play the stock market. But the American dream, immigrants have come to this country for
Yep.
for generations, have bought into the housing market, have been able to save, pay off their mortgages. That used to be the way it was. And the middle-class wealth was developed that way. They've taken that away from us. President Clinton, with the Community Reinvestment Act, designed the failure of the housing bubble and burst.
Yep.
Bush doubled down on it, took credit for all of the minorities that were getting into housing. All those people have lost their homes.
Yeah.
The middle class wealth has been gone. Yet the banks were taken care of, and the government pads its wallets based on campaign donations
And the government
and-
agency,
Yeah.
which was, giving loans to people who didn't deserve the loans. They couldn't pay back the
Right,
loans.
right.
So they get a brand new house, and all they're doing is paying the interest on a house, and they're living in a brand new house.
Yeah. That's government designed to destroy the housing industry. And You don't hear any of this. You don't read about it in the newspaper. You don't hear about it really. I'm talking about it on radio, on this station, on public access. But it's so, it's being kept from us. The information is being withheld from us. For the City of New London to take down this report while this bill is active in the House is just, it's a cover-up, and that's wrong. And everyone should call the mayor tomorrow and say, put the unredacted land value tax study back up on the website so we can educate ourselves about the good and the bad and the ugly about land value tax. Let's put it out on the table. Let people decide for themselves.
And this applies to getting back to the original HB 6851. The view is up around Norwich, right? There's what, a bus station up there?
It's completely empty. That is just unbelievable. That monstrosity that they built with taxpayer money in Norwich that's empty all the time. It's a transit center. It's not used. It's this big, huge concrete structure that was all done in planning and development, and it was a big waste of taxpayer money. It's ugly as can be.
And that could also be taken over.
All of downtown Norwich, yeah.
Wow.
That happened in New Britain too, with the highway they got going from New Britain to Hartford. That's not gonna work out either.
No.
Where they build that new highway, millions of dollars and everything else. Removed a lot of houses right there.
Now, time out. On that route, New Britain to Hartford, you have several stops.
Right.
Are those considered bus stations?
They can call whatever they want,
Yeah.
whatever they want.
And then they
we haven't
could-
seen the new bill, by the way. It's not out, so who knows?
And then they could also want to put a bus station somewhere
Anywhere,
if they
yeah.
wanted to get their hooks
Yep.
into a certain property,
Anything.
correct?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Saybrook too. I mean, it goes all over the place.
And what's happening, I believe, is they know the person that owns the property, and they say, well, we want to put a bus station here. And his property values go up this high now.
Not necessarily.
They take care of them if they pay off the politician.
Well, that's what, there will be special interests that will benefit, just like
Right,
with
yeah.
Fort Trumble.
Yeah.
$100 million didn't vanish in thin air, it lined people's
Yeah.
pockets.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
just
what will
reminded me
happen.
of something.
You don't owe me any money.
No, this is this. I was handed a 20, and you just remind me. Reg, camera 3. Here's a 20. See what?
No.
It's stamped on it, not to be used for bribing politicians. That's amazing. Yeah, it's a 20 Thanks, Reg.
You're gonna need a lot more than a 20.
I
That
know.
won't- that won't
I
even
just-
get you a- That won't get you a chicken dinner with a politician.
Well, anyways, I left the hundreds at home.
The CBIA, the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, is adamantly against land value tax. The only people that are for land value tax are nonprofit organizations, of course, and the Green Party, the Communist Party in the United States and England. The Communist Party is pushing and pushing and pushing land value tax, as is the Green Party, and the purpose is to return the land to the Commonwealth, and that is what their intent is. And that's why Connecticut, I think 35 or 37 states in the country passed very stringent laws against eminent domain. And Andre Baumgartner, to his credit, is trying to get a bill passed that limits eminent domain for private gain. But that's a double-edged sword, because even though it was private gain, it's all private gain. Even though Fort Trumbull was supposed to be for private gain for the for Pfizer, et cetera, this is private gain as well, because the government will just decide who gains and who doesn't. So it's sort of a fallacy that an eminent domain for the public good, that it would be a half a mile radius of any train station, would be legitimately for the public good. I grew up in that neighborhood too.
Wow. What's this other law, Wally or Lori, about with the town taxes, the auto taxes, where the money's going to go to the state? What's this all about?
Well, what's happening here is, right now, we pay taxes on our car to the town.
Okay.
The town uses that money to develop the city and pay for their own bills.
Sure.
Right now, the state government wants all that money, and they'll decide what happens with that money. They'll choose the cities or the towns they want to give the money to.
So they'll take from the rich, give to the poor.
Well, you
Or
know-
take from the towns that manage their money and give it to the towns that mismanage their money.
Right, or their friends. They might want
Or
to
their
give to help their
friends,
friends
okay.
out. And they're also looking at real estate property too. From what I heard, they got a bill coming up that will give 50% of all the money they receive from real estate taxes will go to the state also. And the state will determine who gets that money. So what happens to the towns? They got to raise their taxes.
They want to take away all
Yeah,
autonomy.
yeah.
They don't want towns.
They want to control all the towns.
So the
right.
question
And then
is,
they can move all kind of people wherever they want, in what towns, they can put the
That's
schools
right.
they want, and
That's
in
right.
what towns, and Common Core has a lot to do
And Common
with
Core
the
does.
trout. And I know you're an expert on Common Core, so if anybody ever wants to talk to Lori about that, ask her.
but where's the outcry from the people, from the public? Where's the...
The public is asleep.
Where are
Totally
the,
asleep.
Wake up!
Wake up.
Come on.
where is the
Where's the
media?
alarm
How come
clock?
the media's not covering this?
They don't want to cover it.
Because they're not for
They agree with it.
freedom. That's what it is.
They agree
In a
with
lot
it.
of
I know.
cases, they're controlling, the far leftists take control over most of the media in this whole country.
That's right.
Along with the movie industry,
Yeah.
the television
Yeah.
news. Now, we've had signs up here, how many conservative radio stations we got, which is good. The Republicans are doing very good. You look at the television stations.
Yeah, they're
There's
all-
only one,
Fox is the
Fox.
other one. Yeah.
Now we got Newsmax too,
Newsmax, yeah.
so that's two.
And the Blaze,
And the Blaze.
Glenn Beck.
And what we have to really worry about is that Google is being controlled by the government right now.
Yes, they
That
are.
is the biggest problem we have in this country. Google is controlled by the government only almost 100%. When I started researching land value tax, you would find one or two articles on land value tax because of this, the experiment in Pennsylvania. But overall, you would find massive quantities of opposition research. That's all changed. Now it's all the communist doctrine is up there talking about how great land value tax is. And I was fortunate to find a publication from George Mason University School of Law on private property development and freedom. And you have to hunt for anything that would support property rights in this country. It's being taken off the internet. And they're saying, oh, these search engines are just algorithms, or there's some kind of, no. These search engines, Google wants to control your mind. And whether the Obama administration has to get in bed with Google, or they have to threaten Google with lawsuits to gather data, that is what's happening right now. So our information is being fed to us. We're being spoon-fed, dumbed down, and the people are asleep. And that's a big problem.
And I say, watch out for these checkpoints, these check news stations, that they double check the facts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know two. One was set up by Barack Obama and William Ayers. They had a foundation, they gave the money
Right.
to this fact check company. And then we have Soros. He paid for a whole fact check
Sure,
company.
sure.
Those are the people that are reading
right.
that. They're getting
Propaganda is the most valuable tool that a government can possibly use against a weapon against its people is propaganda, and they're using it masterfully.
Well, almost every week, we're talking about protect your minds from all this, subliminal, everything.
Yeah.
It's coming from all angles, and Lori and Wally, both of you guys, talking with them, that there's so many things coming at us,
At one time.
you can't even
Yeah.
keep track of it all. There's just so many things.
Well, you
And
know
this-
what? You know what I do? I look at the Bill of Rights. I just want to focus on the Bill of Rights. That's what we have to do. We have to focus on our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. We need to pass that out. We have to teach people about liberty and freedom because people don't understand the concepts.
I think personally, this whole thing with Indiana and all this, I don't even want to get into it. It's a smoke screen, personally, my beliefs, to keep your minds off of all this other stuff, Iran, this, that, keep you focused on whether they're going to bake a cake, whatever all that issue was out there. And it just goes on. There's so many major issues. That was one isolated issue. And I'm concerned about that, Lori, because the media keeps smoke screening everyone, find an issue to get your attention off. And when that happens, there's usually something big going on right now behind the scenes. And we won't know about it for another week or two.
It's a witch hunt. It's trying to, accuse people of doing things that they're not doing. I am a liberty and freedom-oriented person, a constitutional conservative, and I believe the Constitution protects all classes of people, whether it be gays and homosexuals or people of color or people of different religions. It's all in the Bill of Rights, giving people the freedom. But you can't have it both ways. So if a person wants freedom to do and express themselves any way they want to, as long as it doesn't hurt someone else, that's in the Bill of Rights. But you can't use the Bill of Rights against someone else. So this poor pizza company that said, no, I wouldn't cater a wedding, they're not discriminating against someone coming in and enjoying pizza. They're just saying, I won't participate in a religious ceremony. They should have every right not to participate in anything they don't want to participate in. And yet they're being, they're talking about Bible thumpers and archaic religions.
You know what?
That's a slang.
That's
a slang. I don't like
the
hearing
biggest
people saying that.
I've heard either savage, I don't know who, but I've heard the term Bible thumpers lately.
I've heard it too many times this morning.
And that offends.
It's an insult.
That offends 99% of all God-believing people, whether they're Christians, Catholics, what have you. It's an insult.
Yeah.
And
it's meant to be an insult because it's the person who doesn't believe in God that's attacking the person who does believe in God. I will defend anyone's right to do as they choose to do as long as it doesn't hurt someone else.
So are we considered Bible thumpers, Wally?
Maybe. But how many people order pizzas for a wedding?
I said I didn't want to get into this because we have other.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we only have like 7 minutes, 6 minutes.
I think it's
Lori.
unfortunate that we don't have freedom and liberty any longer.
Sure.
And what's next? This whole concept of protected classes. Everyone should be a protected class. No one should be hurt or harmed, no matter who you are, or what you believe in, as long as you don't hurt someone else. But don't force your will on anyone else as well. And that's the big, the juxtaposition of the two. On one side, they want, these different protected classes want the freedom to do whatever they want, but they don't want to allow other people the freedom to do what they want. It doesn't make any sense to me.
How can the viewers reach out to you again?
My email right now is lorionliberty@gmail.com. You're welcome to email me anything that's on your mind, lorionliberty@gmail.com. And I'm on Facebook, Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh on Facebook.
Okay.
And my show is 11 to noon, and that's changing. That's going to a 2-hour show on the 29th, I believe, of April.
Oh, good.
We're going to a 2-hour show from 1 to 3.
Now Wally can listen.
Because the Bible thumpers can't
I did listen to you today. I did listen
did
to
you
you
hear?
Sunday.
What a great show.
I left church early.
Oh,
But you know
I
what?
want to be responsible
But
for
it was
your
a
soul.
repeat. It was a repeat
Yes,
show you had.
from Good Friday.
I said, I already heard this.
yeah.
So-
And by the way, that's on
But I
94.
enjoy your show. That guy was great you had
He
on.
was wonderful,
Guys,
yeah.
by the way, 94.9 is the radio station, and we always
And
talk
it
about
streams
Lee
live.
LC.
Streams live.
So in the morning, you can catch Lee LC 6 to 10, Monday through Friday, and then you can catch Lori on Sundays.
And we're having Carol Platt on from Yankee Institute will be on Sunday from 11 to noon. And she's going to talk about Malloy's budget. We're going to talk about money, revenues. In Connecticut's has one of the highest revenues in the country, and yet it seems to it's never good enough. Must have more.
Malloy had the largest tax increase ever in this state.
Yeah.
And we're still in a hole.
And same with Mayor Finizio.
Yeah.
We're here. We're New Londoners are in tough shape.
All right, so you're going to be at the meeting tomorrow night in New London.
I will be doing a presentation on my opposition to land value tax and also to the transit corridor bill.
All right. Where else are you going to be in the next week or two? Do you have any public appearances? What do you got going?
Gee, I have to think past tomorrow rather.
Yeah. Wally knows of one.
No, we're not going to get together on Wednesday.
Right,
That's
right.
being redone, a different date.
Okay.
There's some great things being planned for a Liberty festival in southeastern Connecticut, which you've heard it here first because I'm working on that right now. I had a meeting this morning. I'm putting together a festival that's actually geared around the Bill of Rights and having great speakers come down and to hopefully New London, if not New London, Waterford, to talk about how our rights are being stripped away from us. And it should be fun because it could be called Lobster on Liberty. What do you think?
Lobster on Liberty?
Lobsters in Liberty.
I don't eat seafood, so it would have to be liver on Liberty.
What about lobsters and kielbasa?
I don't eat liver either.
Lobsters and
Kielbasa, huh?
How can you
Lasagna.
not like
Come on, here's
lobster?
the
How can you
Italian.
not like lobster?
The woman like this, the Italian woman. Lasagna on Liberty.
So, I made
There you go.
lasagna, Vinch's
Yeah.
cross.
I like that thing. A Liberty Fest type
Yep.
thing. I like that.
Time to get like-minded people together to celebrate our freedoms and liberties, and
Sure.
and really start focusing on taking America back, so to speak. So
Well, I'm sure we could get some of our NSA whistleblower guys that like to come on the show to travel up and visit. So.
yeah, and I haven't even touched on the NSA, right? I haven't had a chance to. I mean, like you said, there's so many.
Well,
different subjects.
next week we have Kurt Wiebe coming back on.
Right.
So Kurt is he's done a lot of research, digging, and then we have Thomas Drake, William Binney, and in Snowden on the Glenn Beck website. Check it out. Somewhere it says Snowden had revealed that ISIS is planning on some sort of attack on the power grid, Lori.
Oh, really?
So this is what I want to ask Kurt Wiebe next week, what he knows about any sort of plans against attacking the power grid.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of the best shows we ever did was with Lori, like
Yeah.
a year or two
That
ago,
was probably 2 years ago.
2 years ago, about the power
Talking
grid.
about the power grid
And
our
we need,
vulnerability.
I
Yeah.
think we need someday to put that back together and have you come back on and
I think the reason I started looking into the power grid and our vulnerability, it's the number one national security risk,
Sure.
is because of Frankenstorm, that October storm that we had that kind of wiped out the East Coast here, and what I found out was just shocking. I mean,
Well,
very vulnerable.
That's the quickest way to destroy civilization as we know it.
Mass
You know,
quantities of
I
people
mean, the
dying,
food, water, I mean,
starving,
no
violence,
heat
yeah.
if it's winter time. So, we always encourage people to do small things, whatever you can, anything. Just
Yeah.
keep it in mind. What if the power grid? Because you won't be able to do anything at that point. You won't be able to probably make calls. You'll be panicking. You got to be thinking.
We won't be on
ahead.
Facebook.
Exactly.
We won't be tweeting.
Oh,
We'll
everybody
tweet.
will be.
Everybody will be tweeting.
Wally Tweety is different for Wally. Huh? So,
I'm not
so we
going
have a
there
minute left. We have a minute left, Lori, and thank you for.
Thank you. I think
Coming
everyone, please find out more about land value tax and about the transit corridor bill if you're a business owner, property owner. And this is the first step. If this bill passes, it won't be the end to eminent domain and the government takeover of our land and property. If you own farms, if you're living inland, if you don't live anywhere near a bus station or train station, you will have land.
We are starting to fade out, Wally. So we're going to end it as usual. God bless all the viewers. God bless America, and
Wake up,
America. Right, Lori?
We're going for that. Yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone. Next
Good
week,
night.
Kurt Wiebe, NSA whistleblower.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
And I look forward to continuing this dialogue in the months ahead. Thank you very much, everybody.